Welcome everybody. Biz Talk with Sherman here this morning. Super excited, full lineup here today. Hope everyone had a wonderful Thanksgiving weekend. Hope it was safe. I know for some people it was a little bit odd, it was a little bit smaller, but hopefully the food was still good and you got enough turkey and mashed potatoes and all that fun stuff. So, as we jump into the episode today, I want to remind folks that if you missed this, you can download this via podcast on all the various podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and also if you want to be able to see this in live kind of video format, you can be able to go to nowmediaradio.com. You can see previous episodes of it. And of course, hello to our Facebook Live friends. I want to say hello to you guys as well. We got you going on. We haven't forgotten about you at all. So, really don't want to delay any more time. Want to jump right in, talk with Kelly over here at Tremont Healthcare
Yes.
Center. So, thank you so much for coming in on the show.
You're very welcome. Thanks for having me.
All right, so a lot of people aren't familiar, Kelly, with who you are and what you guys do. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your story?
Okay, so we're a continuum of care retirement community called Tremont Retirement. We also have the portion that I represent, all three really, but I work with the healthcare center and the assisted living. So we're really a campus that can offer a senior living solution for anybody, whether they don't want to take care of their home anymore and kind of want to get away from the maintenance and have meals delivered, they don't feel like cooking. We can do that in our 55 plus senior living apartment complex. And if they ever have any health complications or they are aging in place and they kind of want to stay on the same campus so their friends can come visit, we also have assisted living as well as skilled nursing and rehabilitation.
So it really is, you kind of mentioned it right there in that description, age where you live.
Right, age and place.
And so that's kind of where continual living, that's the concept, right? It's not just, hey, it's not, although they are separate facilities or separate living places, you can change as maybe your health unfortunately deteriorates.
Right, or if somebody in the independent living, for instance, if they go in for a surgery or maybe they have a heart attack or a stroke and they want to come to our skilled nursing and rehab facility and then turn around and hopefully graduate to assisted living back home. We've had people come in literally on a stretcher from the hospital, graduate over time after our therapy program, and our nurses took good care of them. And they graduated to assisted living just to kind of feel a little bit more comfortable with their independence. And then they turned around and ended up living in the independent living apartment complex. We've got Mr. Chuck, he's 102 years old this year, and he still toodles around over in independent living. It's pretty amazing.
That's amazing. Happy birthday, 102, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about professionally, you, Kelly. How does one necessarily get into this kind of industry? It's not necessarily one that, out of college, you're like, hey, I'm going to go work at the home health care.
Well, funny story, my senior year in high school, I was in Skills USA VICA, and Ms. De Los Santos, our teacher, had us go, one of our community service project was actually to go visit Fort Bend Healthcare Center down in Rosenberg. So never did I ever think that, never did I ever think that I'd end up in this industry long term. I was actually working at a bank about 12 years ago, and my assistant manager's daughter was the manager of a home health agency. So she recruited me out from her mom's grass and didn't even know what it was at the time. So long and the short of it is I've worked in several different capacities, from non-medical provider services to skilled nursing and rehab services at home, to skilled nursing and rehab to assisted living, and now I get the joy of representing Tremont Retirement Community as a campus, but specifically doing marketing externally and internal admissions for assisted living and skilled nursing. So it's been a lot of different fun things that I've gotten to do, and I've gotten to meet a lot of interesting people, but I think Tremont's going to be my forever home, like I hope it's the listeners today too.
Now, one of the difficult things that you guys have had to deal with, especially on the assisted living, the nursing facilities, the skilled care, is COVID-19. So how have you guys been able to deal with that this year in 2020?
So we did have some residents in independent living who, because they're independent, they can go where they want, do what they want, who did come down with COVID. All the cases are resolved now. In my building specifically, we're all on the same campus, but we're actually a little separate building connected by a breezeway. And so in the assisted living and skilled nursing side, we've been very blessed. I think part of it's our administrator, Cynthia. She's been a nurse for over 20 years. She's also a licensed nursing home administrator. And then on top of that, she's infection control certified with the state. Okay. So we've been pretty hyper vigilant with it. Yeah. We only ever had one case in our assisted living. who had an external caregiver coming in. The resident's no longer with us since it's transitioned to a memory care community. But we immediately, as soon as we found out the caregiver was asymptomatic positive, we turned around and tested the resident. The resident was asymptomatic positive, immediately quarantined, never had any symptoms, but we kept the same caregivers one-on-one with the resident, full PPE gear, 3 different shifts every day for 14 days. 2 negative tests later, the resident was free to go about activities and just regular everyday shenanigans, I guess.
Yeah. Well, that's the fun thing about this assisted living, right? Is that it's not like it's not go sit there and watch the Love Boat.
No,
right?
absolutely
There is
not.
a ton of activities
Yes.
is offered. So maybe describe to people what that looks like for a resident.
So on the independent living side, for instance, we had a big Oktoberfest. Our independent living director, Rodney, actually wore lederhosen and the whole 9 yards. So they had one of the breweries come out and bring a paddy wagon that had taps all over the side. It was really cool. So for independent living, because it's so independent, they do a lot more, that they can get out a little bit more.
Yeah.
We're still following a lot of protocols on my side with the state. So we've done everything from paint parties, like painting with a twist. It's actually Jamie's Palette that's come out and done some painting parties with us. We have live entertainment as it allows. We recently actually had a party on the patio for the residents. We made sure everybody was spaced 6 feet apart on the assisted living and skilled nursing side. So we brought everybody out. We did a grill. We grilled out hamburgers and hot dogs. We had the Ziggy band come out and play live music, and they're awesome. The residents had a blast. It was just nice for them to get outside for a little bit because we've been so shut down. We're actually even able to do like essential caregiver visits now. Luckily, because we haven't been able to open our salon yet, our activity director, Jeanette, is also a licensed cosmetologist.
Wow.
So while the residents were starting to look like they were coming straight out of Woodstock, the ones that wanted their hair cut and things like that, we do mani-pedis for them, mani-pedi parties, and Jeanette was actually able to offer some complimentary services to keep our residents' morale up, because you start feeling drab and scraggly. It's like if you don't shower for a couple of days, probably you're not going to feel the greatest. So it's been really we've had to be very creative in finding ways to continue to enrich our residents' lives. Social distancing bingo. We've done some really amazing things. Orbit came out from the Astros a couple of months ago and did some tricks for the residents and gave them some cool swag. So we've just really had to kind of roll with the punches. And for a while there, I felt like we were writing a different policy every week for visitation and FaceTime calls. And we even created an app. We're utilizing an app called Calendly.com so that families, it helps us to keep family visits organized. Because we can do indoor visits, we can do outdoor visits, and then we can also do window visits as well as FaceTime calls. So it gives the families multiple ways of getting in touch with their loved one if they don't quite, a lot of the families still aren't quite comfortable with coming in. So it gives them different avenues for loved ones to visit, especially for the ones who are out of state that just can't make it down. Or aren't willing to fly right now. They can do the FaceTime or video chat calls. So
that's amazing. So it sounds like there's just a multitude of different things that you guys have been able to implement in helping the residents there. Whether from independent all the way to the skilled, to be able to make sure that they're still feeling connected with the outside world.
Absolutely. The socialization is so important, and I always joke with people, watching Wheel of Fortune and yelling the answers out does not constitute actual human interaction. And so it's been very important for all of us as managers to make sure we're going and visiting our residents, to make sure that if the family, to try to accommodate families to the best of our ability, to try to, like I said, come up with creative ways of doing things with the residents that we might not have been able to do prior to doing some soft opening. It's been interesting even doing the Zoom calls and stuff with families that are looking to move someone in, because everybody goes under quarantine for 14 days. So it's not easy. I know if it was my dad or my nana, I'd be beating down the door trying to get in, but I think a lot of the families also understand we have to follow safety protocols because we've kept COVID out. So this is our way of continuing to do that, to keep our residents and our staff safe.
Yeah, and I know probably it feels very you're over, maybe hyper vigilant, but for obvious reasons. Right. You don't stay so COVID free in that kind of facility
without discipline. Absolutely. And families understand. It doesn't make it any easier.
Yes.
One of the hardest days that I think my whole team had was the Sunday that we had gotten the email from Governor Abbott saying absolutely no visitation, and we called my social worker in. I happened to be manager on duty that weekend, and she came in and we started having to tell families, I'm sorry, if you're going to get in, you need to come in today, because as of midnights and we couldn't have visits, and that lasted for a few months. And we had family members that visited 2, 3, 4 times a day at times.
Right.
And now all of a sudden you had to shut it all down, and that was probably one of the hardest days of my life in this industry, was having to tell these families, I'm so sorry, but we have to. I mean, if somebody comes in that's not authorized to come in, it's literally a $15,000 fine with the state. So not only is it detrimental emotionally for the families, but it could be detrimental to us as a senior living community on making sure that we're following all the state guidelines to keep ourselves licensed.
So maybe you can help kind of clarify for people, do they have to be independent resident in order to go to the nursing home or the assisted living facility?
No, so we have we have 4 different levels of care. So we have independent living, which is 55 plus senior living. They get amenities such as weekly housekeeping. They don't have to pay their utilities. The only thing they'd have to pay for in independent living would be cable and Wi-Fi. We have a maintenance team that's amazing. Don and his staff are just awesome at what they do. So even if it's a light bulb change, they're on top of it. So they also obviously offer the different levels of activities. But you just basically have to be 55 years or older and ready to move, and ready to quit taking care of that house and burden. A lot of times it's a big burden having to pay somebody to do all that. By the time you add up the expenses, you could be living with us for $1,750 a month in independent living, and you're getting 3 meals a day, 7 days a week. You're getting weekly housekeeping. Who likes to clean house? I mean, there's a lot of days I wish I could just not have to cook, but I do. I got to cook for my family. So, that's the first level. That's the lowest level of care. Mm-hmm. We also have Independent Plus through Senior Allegiance, which is our on-site caregiver services and the clinical home health services. So they literally do have an a la carte menu. So let's just say, I move in and all of a sudden, it's getting a little harder. I'm feeling a little uneasy, taking a shower by myself. Maybe I just need some standby assistance. Yeah. You can pay a nominal fee instead of paying a 4-hour minimum with another caregiver agency. Medication management, just all those little things. Laundry, things, medication setup and dispensation. So all those different things can be paid for a la carte for a nominal fee versus paying $25 an hour for 4-hour minimum. So that's Independent Plus. Then you come onto my side of the campus, and we have assisted living, which is all-inclusive care, and that does everything from activities of daily living, like getting showered and dressed and brushing teeth and combing hair, to serving meals, 3 meals a day, 7 days a week. On my side, we actually have daily housekeeping. My housekeeping staff's amazing. You're never going to walk, when we're open for tours again on my side, independent is, but I'm not. You're never going to walk in and smell any hard smells like you can at some places. I will leave those unnamed.
Yes, absolutely.
Out of for professional courtesy, but we do a really great job at daily housekeeping. Cable and Wi-Fi is included, so we do a lot of activities, all those fun things. Then you've got the skilled nursing and rehab side, and there's a few components to that. There's the short-term rehab side, which is where somebody had an episode, a health episode, maybe like I said, a heart attack, stroke, a hip replacement, knee replacement. Anything like that, and they can come in for short-term rehab under a Medicare stay. Medicare covers that. Then we've got long-term private pay, which families have done. So we have a lot of private pay residents. It amazed me when I started working here. And then we have people who decide that they're going to stay. They want mom or dad to age in place with hospice when it comes time. And so we're not the Grim Reaper, but if mom or dad gets to a point where it's nearing end of life and the family needs that extra emotional support, and the resident needs that extra emotional support, we can reach out to some of our hospice companies that we work with closely and let the families have that conversation with them. And that way, the resident at that point has comfort care, and the family also has the emotional support to go along with it. So we've got a lot of different moving pieces. We have a great therapy team for the short-term rehab, and I feel like it really, for me and for a lot of my staff, we know that we're enriching these people's lives in a way that nobody else can. And it gives the family member, whoever's caring for that person at home, instead of me being daughter the caregiver, now I'm back to just being daughter mom or daughter dad. Yes. So they get that relationship back instead of, oh my gosh, I'm so tired and I just can't do this anymore, and you get resentful. We can alleviate that out of people's lives.
Absolutely, it creates quite a bit of stress on top of what's already going on. My folks take care of my 90-year-old grandfather who's got dementia, and so you're right. I mean, you just add all these things together, and it's just like, man, I still want to leave for the weekend, and now it becomes this
what do we do?
Yeah, we need to manage all this other stuff, right?
That's why they say patience is a virtue, because it's hard, especially with residents who have dementia and even people that are just a high level of physical need.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times I used to run a caregiver support group, and one of the first questions I'd always ask the caregivers is, when's the last time you've been to the doctor for yourself?
Yeah.
Because quite often they neglect their own health and end up passing away, and there's nobody left to take care of that loved one anymore because they wore their own bodies down. So it really can, it can give you back your life as a caregiver and give you that relationship back and just give you the peace of mind of knowing that I'm not going to have to wake up at 10 o'clock at night or 2 o'clock in the morning. There's going to be people around the clock to do that for mom, dad, aunt, uncle, grandma, grandpa.
Wonderful. So I know a lot of people that are maybe watching this in the live session that could see some of the videos that Jonathan's able to bring up. How can people get in touch with you, Kelly, to be able to know a little bit more about what's going on? If this might be something for them and their family.
Absolutely. Feel free to call. You can call me either at the building at 7-1. Well, not right now because I'm with Sherman, but you can call me at the building most of the time at 713-783. Absolutely. 47 years old and we're still kicking, so we must be doing something right.
That's wonderful. All right, folks, we're going to take a quick commercial break and we're going to come back, talk a little bit about what's going on in some of the innovative products due to COVID-19. All right. Thank you so much. Appreciate it, Kelly. Thanks for coming on.
Absolutely. What'd I do with my mask?
That was fabulous.
Thank you.
Yeah, you'll want that thing.
Yeah, definitely. After I
Thanks,
put it
everybody.
on the floor. Thank you so much for the opportunity, Sherman. I greatly appreciate it.
You are very welcome. Thanks so much.
I'll
We'll talk
see
to
you
you
next
soon.
week. Breakfast next week? Or
Yes,
you want? All right.
I'll be there. I'll see you at Fogo de Chao. All right, we have Tiffany from Fogo de Chao. No samples today, though.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Have a seat.
We
Have
were
a
just,
seat.
we were just getting lunch ready.
Oh, it's all good. It's all good.
Next time,
We
next
got a
time.
lot of things going on there, helping out. A lot of things going on with the chamber. Some networking after hours there.
Yes.
Gonna be outdoor. How exciting!
It is. It's a really good pivot point for us this year. It's actually the More Spaces program with Houston. So it's something that our legal team looked at and said, yeah, let's make sure we take advantage of it.
Yeah.
And not that many restaurants in Houston have done it.
That's awesome.
There's under 10 this year, so.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
That's little. That's amazing.
I know, unless they just didn't post everyone, but.
Well, cool. So, have you been on the show radio before?
I have not.
Okay, so we got Facebook Live right there on the cell phone.
Jeez, hello.
And then that is your camera right there.
Okay, so that's where I'm looking.
That's where you want to look.
Okay.
And then you're going to want to speak. It's going to feel like you're eating the microphone. Okay.
Right.
So, but that's kind of how close you talk to it.
Okay.
So because it's in video format, and then it's in podcast, and then also in radio. Is that good?
There we go. Okay.
Awesome. So.
How's everything going?
It's going well, man. This is like the super fun part of marketing for me.
Right?
Being able to do something that's totally like, out of the ordinary, and 30 seconds, okay.
Now media radio.
I see you have a blue tape on your camera. Is that so it doesn't record you?
Yeah, because they're always watching. They listen. We'll talk about like, oh, we need cleaner or something, and all of a sudden I see an ad for cleaner on my phone.
All the time.
Yeah.
Someone's watching. Welcome back, everybody. Biz Talk with Sherman here. I'm with Mutual of Omaha, but excited to be here, folks, to be able to run the Biz Talk with Sherman episode here. Thanks again to Kelly over at Tremont Health Care Center to be able to come in and share the age where you are. Really, that's the concept there, from independent all the way to skilled. Really excited to talk to you about Fogo de Chao Houston. Tiffany's doing just a phenomenal job there. So first off, Tiffany, welcome to Biz Talk with Sherman.
Oh, thank you all for having me. This is really fun. Bem-vindo na Media Radio.
All right. Learn a little bit of the Portuguese, I see. All right.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about people that aren't familiar with Fogo de Chão.
So it's actually a southern, authentic Brazilian specialty restaurant, and it started in Brazil. It's over 41 years old this year. For Houston, it's been 21 years, so
Wow,
it took
okay.
some time for us to get to the United States. But since it did, it's such a great place to celebrate and be with your family and just to have a really fine dining, luxury, upscale experience, along with just great service and great food offerings. The whole idea is to come together, bring beautiful food, and create new memories, and also think about the times that have just been wonderful with your family. So, bring your team out for celebrations and anniversaries and weddings. This is things that we've been seeing this year, so it's been really fun.
Now, one of the unique things that I saw that you guys have partnered up with is the Houston West Chamber of Commerce and some of the various events. So you want to talk a little bit about that, let people know what's going on, what they can anticipate if they want to come?
Oh yeah, please. We're actually doing a Rise and Grind next week, so we're going to open up Fogo early in the morning. It's almost like a buyout. It's exclusive, yeah. So the Rise and Grind is great with the Houston West Chamber. They've been really active in the community this year too, immediately with their pivot points with virtual and Zoom calls. So it's just been great to stay in touch with everyone. But we're getting back to face-to-face. We actually reopened May 20th.
Okay.
And since then, Carrie's been talking about a new place for Rise and Grind. And it makes sense to come out, and we have the space, and we have some amazing brunch offerings that we cook up specially for the Houston West Chamber, and we just have a fun time. And last time y'all were there, a couple of weeks ago, I just heard people laughing and just having a good time. So it was really awesome to connect. And I've been seeing Kelly with Tremont. She's actually a neighbor of ours. She's
Okay.
just a couple of streets down. So I've kept in contact with them this whole time because we have to go now. And it's another way to treat the senior living communities where they don't have that physical interaction. So at least we can bring a little bit of joy to them. And then the Houston West Chamber's been great about, getting back to face-to-face. So we're actually doing the holiday party in our outdoor seating this year.
Yeah.
So we have a tent outside with the More Spaces program for Houston. And it's been great to kind of take advantage of social spacing in a tent.
Yes.
And we're still social spacing inside the restaurant, so we're 6 feet apart for each table. So it's really nice to have that extra space where we can't do it inside the restaurant. And it's a new way to Fogo. It's kind of like a Southern Brazilian experience because we do the fire roasting out there. With
Very cool. Yeah.
So it's really fun. It's kind of a new way. So it's time to come by and check it out, get involved with the chamber, and then, how can we help each other? That's been the talk this year. It's let's lift each other up.
I love
the
that.
chamber's been great about
So I know the Rise and Grind is next Wednesday
Or
from
the
7 a.m.,
16th.
right? The
2
16th,
weeks.
2 weeks?
Yes.
And it's going to go from 7 to 8:30. And you don't have to be a member. You can come and you can check it out.
Correct.
There's no cost if you are a member. So if anyone that's listening, it's a Houston West member, definitely come. It's a phenomenal activity. Of course, there's those little cheesy bites. I don't know what to call those, Tiffany. What are those little cheesy goodness?
I'm going to say it in my gringo Portuguese,
Okay.
pan de queijo. So the little squiggly line is actually an N
Okay.
sound in Portuguese. So it's like fogo de chão, as everyone knows it, but fogo de chão, a pan de queijo, it has a little squiggly over the A. So.
Okay.
But cheesy bread, and it's a nice
Cheesy bread.
Cheesy bread.
For those of you that can't pronounce it.
for the gringos in the world, right? And it's only 90 calories for a dozen.
All right.
And gluten-free.
90 calories for a dozen. I will remember that next time I'm there, Tiffany. I might have myself a dozen that morning.
Exactly, and you need to bring some home for the kids and the missus. Yes.
That's right, and bring some guests. So then we have that going on. Then you mentioned there's an after-hours holiday party
Yes.
in the outdoor tent, which is just going to be awesome.
Yes.
And just for those of you that hear tent, that think camping, 4 men in a tent. No, it's a huge, almost like a wedding kind of tent.
It does.
I think you guys even have windows, right?
Yes, side panels with windows. We're going to put in a heater this weekend, so it's going to be a fun little shindig for sure for holiday gatherings. And there's a couple of people requesting it just because they feel safer outside. So.
Okay.
And it was just a new way to kind of mingle. We didn't see you at that last one, but hopefully we see you. That's next week, Thursday night, 4:30 starting. So come on by. There's also going to be mask contest, the best Christmas masks. So
that'll be fun.
It's going to be fun.
So think of it like ugly sweater meets the mask.
Yeah.
Is the idea.
Yeah, I'm sure lots of people are doing that this year. So
that's awesome. And then, so one of the unique things about fogoing, as you call it, right? It's a verb.
A new way to fogo.
The typical way was I got my meat guys and gals coming out, bringing me some delicious delectables. At the same time, there was this amazing center bar that had a multitude of just great Brazilian sides.
Yes.
How are you guys dealing with that with COVID-19? Obviously, kind of your buffets had to deal with, because before we were basically just sharing a spoon, and nobody really thought much of that because we're healthy. But then we didn't have this. So how have you guys adjusted with that?
So very great question, and we have actually pivoted again this year with that market table reopening. So when we, just quick little snippet back into May, when we reopened, we were the second week, we were like the second store to open, right? So Dallas, the Plano location reopened first, because corporate's right next to it. They were able to just kind of see the whole service and kind of fine tune the safety practices.
Yeah.
So that really helped out. That gave us some leeway about, hey, what can we do, what can't we do? So market table, what we've done with that, we have that table side, so we bring it on trays with different rounds. But we're able to reopen market table. We do have it roped off, so it's like a red carpet rope off.
Yes.
So no one's just walking up to it as far as guests go. But we have them socially spaced, mask up, and then go through the market table with a market table attendant. It's a FOGO person that is serving it. So you can say, oh, I'd like that manchetta cheese, I'd like these patadillo peppers, I'd like this asparagus, chicken salad. You can pick everything that you'd like, and then we'll plate it for you. And then you have a little exit way to go, and then take it back to your table or your private room and have a really good time. Go back as often as you need. Also let your server know, hey, I'd like a few more mushrooms. Can you go grab it for me? Yes, we'll do that easily. So we've actually upped our service this year without raising prices, which is great.
Yeah, what I was about to say, this sounds like uber luxury.
I know,
now
right?
I'm going to a buffet and someone's getting me the food for me.
Oh yeah.
This is phenomenal.
And I'm doing it for a lady next week. She's coming in to rebook her. Every year we see them for the holidays, and she broke her wrist.
Oh.
So I'm having the head server follow her to the market table and take it for her. So we're going to customize exactly what you need and keep y'all safe too.
What's amazing as well is when you say luxury, I know all of a sudden people are going to be like, ring, money bells go in their mind.
I know, right?
It's not that expensive to FOGO.
No. You can go weekday lunch for $15.
Yeah, which is crazy,
It's
right?
insane. Yeah.
Or even if you go to dinner time, I'm still going to pay less than probably what I would pay at an Outback Steakhouse.
Oh yeah, definitely.
You know what I mean? Like when you start looking at the meats and all the sides that I'm going to be able to get, it's easy. I mean, I took my nephew there the other day, and just between him and I, he's young, so there's no adult beverages. We were dropping basically $100 between the two of us.
Oh yeah.
Because we get because it was a fun time, right? Appetizers, meal, dessert, and so you get the whole experience. And so I know if I would have FOGO'd, it would have been a much better experience. But he didn't want to FOGO. He wanted Outback Steakhouse. Sorry about that.
I didn't see you and your nephew. What?
But don't worry, his birthday's coming up soon, so we'll I go for that when it comes to nieces and nephews. I want experience, not stuff, trinkets and trash.
Exactly.
You remember what Uncle Sherman got you last year, but if I took you out to eat and I fed you so much food that you were like, it was coming out of your eyes, you'll remember that experience.
Oh yeah, definitely. For years to come, and then you're like, when can I go back? So we'd like to see everyone every day, right?
Yeah, totally. I would. Well, now that those cheesy goodness is only 90 calories per dozen, I think I can go back more often.
Exactly, and you can just drive by and pick it up. It's just $7.
Oh, well, one of the great things, let's talk about this, Tiffany, because I did some takeout of FOGO. So talk a little about that, because that's a little bit unique in the dining experience, right? So one of the biggest struggles that you have in any takeout food, I don't care whether that's, Whataburger all the way to, FOGO, right?
Yeah.
Is, man, I get the food, and I'm in Houston, I'm 25, 30 minutes away. By the time I eat the food, now all of a sudden it's cold.
Right.
And it doesn't ruin, but it definitely diminishes
different
that value,
experience.
doesn't
Yeah.
it? Right.
Mhm.
So tell what Fogo decided to do with their takeout.
Which is great because we have corporate office, we have a kitchen, we have a chef, and Chef Antonio, and we have Eric Tucker, who's our catering specialist, that have tested the products and tested how it's really that Fogo experience. So we use the right Tupperware, or to-go-ware, as we should say it, to keep the meats hot but not overcooked. So what I learned quickly on the to-go, from corporate standards, we're able to roll it out the next day when we had to close down in March.
Yeah.
So that's great. We were able to pivot immediately and grab sales and just let the community know, hey, there's tough times, you still need to experience Fogo. And we're gonna give you that Fogo experience. It may not be that gaucho, carving everything for you at the house, which we can do now. We have full service catering. But with that to go, I mentioned, the temperature of the meats, right? So if you are in West Houston, you're driving, 30, 40 minutes. Okay, so I'm gonna suggest you do medium rare. That way, by the time you get it home, it's more of like a medium cook. And then we also have butcher shops. So, keep away from the grocery stores and just go ahead and pick up a package. Like, the celebration was already cooked, but we have butchers, so you can actually have a Wagyu cut that you can cook at home, be your own gaucho, and just take that. So if you're farther away, an hour away, at that point, we might suggest you take a butcher shop kit. So we have kits that you can do and grill at home with instructions and YouTube videos from Chef Antonio, so you can be your own expert.
That's amazing. So especially for people that are kind of planning out their holiday, right? If I know I'm coming to work, let's say on Monday, I'm not going to be cooking on Wednesday, I can easily pick this up, store it in the refrigerator, and then heat it all up come Wednesday. And obviously, I don't have to be my own chef necessarily, because I can just follow a YouTube video.
Exactly.
But the meats have already been marinated; they're ready to go.
Yes, expertly prepared by our gauchos.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So what a great way to be able to give this experience. Now, last thing you mentioned was full-on catering. So let's say, for example, we don't feel comfortable coming into a facility. We want to be able to still have maybe a nice family gathering here at home. You guys will then be able to cater at my house.
Correct. If you're close enough.
Okay, yeah.
Or depending on the size too.
Okay, no trips out to Corpus Christi. So,
well,
there's probably a location there.
If you have some spend, we can do it.
If your money is good enough, you can come on down. But what's that like for people? They can basically customize that experience.
Correct. Yes, we had a huge project with that to deliver the best way to do full service as far as operations, marketing, sales, and the experience goes. Houston was a part of that project management team. So
wow, amazing.
We're looking for some larger gatherings to do full service. So if you're at 100, that's when it kind of speaks to the cost that's associated, but we do have hybrid styles that we can set up and serve buffet style. So it's our Fogo attendance, just kind of like the market table is, where we're serving it for you. We can do that too. Or we can do, drop-off orders as well, so we can keep distance, just depending on what kind of celebration y'all are doing.
Sounds amazing. So that sounds like really a great business-to-business kind of experience. End of the year event. Want to be able to do it at maybe at our facility where we have more space to be able to spread out, or there's maybe multiple people coming in at different times of the day, and that way they can get the experience and not feel like we have to shut down the entire office and go to a location.
Right, and then gather together. Yeah, we can do it.
Make it safer. Easier that way, right? So I'm thinking like, if I'm at Phillips 66 down here, might be a little bit easier, have you guys come, do it there, and not have to worry about, all of our employees trying to drive down Westheimer to get over. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we'll bring it to you. And then we've also set it up for companies that have wanted to keep it individual. So we'll individually wrap meals if you didn't want to have it buffet style.
Oh,
and
awesome.
put names on it.
I love it.
Yes.
This is getting me so excited. I'm getting
You're
so
getting
hungry,
hungry,
Tiffany. So Jonathan, I know, is giving me the commercials. We need a break for commercial, but Tiffany, before we break, how can people get in hold with you? Because there's some, not only can they just come to a restaurant, but it sounds like they can get some real individualized, customized catering experience, and that's really just a great way to Fogo,
Yes,
right?
it is.
So why don't you tell people how they can get in touch with you?
You can reach out to tdelarosa@fogo.com if that's harder to remember for those gringos, right? Do Houston events at fogo.com. You can go to fogo.com and then click on all the links there. There's also a groups site, so you can actually tour our spaces. That's going to be fogogroups.com/Houston, specifically for the Houston location. And then catering at fogo.com as well. So there's very many ways to reach out. Even on YouTube, you'll see us. So, but the fogo.com, we made it easy. You don't have to type in anything else but fogo.com, and then you can kind of direct from there if that's easier to remember.
Okay, that is easy. fogo.com, man. That is really easy to get to. But for those that want to email Tiffany, you can easily do it tdelarosa@fogodechow.com. Or just
fogo.com?
Just fogo.com.
Just fogo.com.
So the T de la Rosa is more longer than the
It is.
Fogo.com.
Yeah.
Fogo.com. All right, everybody. Well, Tiffany, thank you so much for coming in, sharing with us.
Now media.
All right, everybody, we're going to take a quick commercial break and come back with innovative products. We're coming with Will on what he's doing and helping people stay safe during COVID-19.
Yes.
All right.
Thank
you.
So fun.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
I know we're going to stay and talk to Jose, right? Juan, sorry. My gringo came out.
Don't worry. No one's gonna judge you for
I
that.
know, right?
All right, Will, let's do this, buddy.
Thanks, Will.
Hey, maybe I should dump this somewhere.
Yeah, just keep it behind you. That was awesome.
And this was behind her the whole time.
That's totally fine. We're totally good.
So,
You can bring it right there. That way we can actually show it. It'll be awesome. All right, Facebook Live. Hope you guys are enjoying that.
Can you see that, Jonathan?
Yeah, because your camera's right there. Maybe back a
Are you
little
saying?
bit.
Are you saying? Is it? Yeah, it's on.
You can see it.
You can see it. Yeah.
It doesn't show up in there.
No, no.
Oh, it
Oh,
does?
You're in the
no,
little
here.
camera. Yeah, look at the little camera.
Okay, so can you see what it's doing?
Yep.
If you sit down, I can move it around.
I can't sit down and do this.
No, I'm saying I'll move it around wherever
Okay.
you sit.
Let's come real quick. Oh, it's
The speed of that is phenomenal.
It is.
At which it recognizes temperature. That is fast.
And face mask.
I think you can raise that chair up, by the way. If you
I
want.
tried, it didn't go well.
Yeah, there you go.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I totally
Yeah,
felt
that's
like
better.
water.
All right. Can I have you get up close to the mic?
Please move closer. 98.4. Oh, higher today. Oh, I didn't wear a mask. I can turn the volume up and down, but it's going to.
Settings, yeah.
And two things. I was going to lead with document imaging, but this is the hot thing right now that everybody needs. And I've got these at Harris County Clerks Elections. You can check their staff in at the Elections Technology Center. They were checking in 90 to 100 people a day.
Holy cow.
And the difference is that if you like somebody speaking, whoa, camera got moved. His camera got moved a little bit, I think. Okay. So I'm going to go up there, but they won't be able to see what happens, right?
No, you'll be good. We'll be good.
Okay.
Maybe.
A little bit. But
Yeah, maybe not, but here we're about starting.
And anyway, that was a hot product, and we were checking people in, and we modified it to go on top of their hand sanitizer kiosk.
That's awesome. So is it designed for like many? That's the idea, right?
Yeah,
So
it's-
clinics, hospitals.
Anybody that's got to check people in and has responsibility, and when the person's sitting down having to do this or standing up with a little white wine everybody's using, I feel for that person.
Yeah.
Because they're doing this.
Welcome back to Biz Talk with Sherman here. I'm your host from Mutual of Omaha. Super excited, everybody, to be able to. Thanks again to Kelly over at Tremont. And then, of course, we had Tiffany from Fogo de Chao here in Houston. Got me super excited, really hungry, but really excited to talk with Will about his innovative product that he's using. And I misspoke. You're with Precision Products,
Inc.
right? Inc.
Yes.
Okay, and so tell Will, first introduce yourself to the audience who might not know who you are.
I'm Will Waterall. I'm with Precision Products. I started the company quite a while back. Stayed up with certifications to help people with document imaging needs.
Okay, now I know that one of the things, obviously, as people are moving more to cloud-based in regards to just storing information like paper and files, I'm sure that you guys must be extremely busy during this time of year.
Well, actually, we are. We're doing Zoom meetings just like everyone else,
So I'm
but
gonna get closer.
a lot of people are having to stay home, and a lot of the production facilities are still in an office. And I've said for years it's crazy for everybody to get in a car and get on the freeway with everybody else and go down to work. But there's sometimes where you just have to work.
Yeah, absolutely. And so tell us a little bit about, there's this product behind you, this little kiosk of a sorts, innovative technology here.
There are two that we offer. We did a lot of research before we selected it. It is a temperature and mask check to check people in so that a person doesn't have to be standing next to you and sticking this device into your face, let alone exposing them again and again to people checking in.
Right, absolutely. And now I mentioned, I know that you had mentioned that this can, has the ability to get through multiple people in a day.
Oh, it's super fast. I can show you. It takes 1 second. That's it. And it checks your temperature within a half a degree. And it checks to see if you got a mask.
That's amazing. So yeah, why don't you show it? I know Facebook Live, you can't get in this closely, but you can see here he's going to stand right in front of the camera, and immediately right there, that's how quick it is.
That one's going to stand closer. Okay. My temperature, it gives that to me.
And it gives him the temperature. He's at 98.4, which is good. And then it's in green, right?
That is in green.
So what's the noise, Will, when you're over temperature?
It told me that I'm. It gives an alarm and it tells you that you can't do that, right?
All right. So
And it just went red and orange because it said I wasn't wearing a mask.
okay, so it just, I don't know if you saw, you guys probably can't hear it for those of you that are a little bit further away, but it went red on the top bar and some orange and said that he needs to wear a mask. Actually, it says it nicely. It says, please wear a mask.
Yes.
So it's courteous. But then also Will's mentioning that if the temperature is too high, it'll sound a little bit of an alarm, a noise on the negative side to let people know that this person, and then of course the person that's putting their face in front, that they shouldn't be coming inside the facility.
Correct.
And so I know that this is definitely a piece that's extremely important for businesses, organizations, hospitals, clinics, schools that are really have a responsibility to make sure that they're keeping it safe in that facility.
That is correct. For example, Harris County Clerk's Office, the elections department, bought some of these and they're using them in places like the Elections Technology Center. They had to check in 90 plus people a day, and they had an individual had to run out and man a station real quick and punch this little white device up to your head. Nobody likes it. I don't like it. It's invasive.
Yeah.
So that was one of the reasons we came up with this, because it's just not safe to do it that way. People think it's safer because you're getting checked in.
Yep.
But is it safer?
Right, well, you're definitely not standing 6 feet away from somebody when their arm's out, right? Because the average arm is probably about 2 to 3 feet. And so you're definitely getting really close to another person.
They say stand closer. I can't reach you because they're sitting down.
Yeah. And plus, for somebody, let's say I'm a nurse working at a hospital, this is not the job that I signed up for, right? This is not what I enjoy doing in
It's a new job on top of it. It's new overhead. You have to have an actual person doing that for them all the time.
Yeah.
And this is upgradable to be networked to a system so that all the stats could be gathered. You could gather the information from video if you want to. There's some reasons for doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think about a lot of the companies that in our area that are a little bit higher up on the security side. They need to know who's kind of coming in and out.
Well,
it's a great way to be able to do that.
That is exactly right. You can upgrade this to use with key cards, with employee key cards, with their face that's been recorded to show that they're allowed to come in with that key card. And also it can deny, lock out their key card if they fail this test.
Gotcha. So that way they don't kind of try to circumvent the system and hey, I've got a 100-degree temperature and I'm trying to still come to work.
I use somebody else's key card.
All right. So what's really interesting about this is, obviously, in the midst of this, you saw an opportunity to be able to provide a solution that made a lot of sense, a lot more convenience, and a lot more deliverable than somebody standing there with just a temperature checker.
Definitely. This is a really hot item. Inventory has been the problem.
Oh, okay.
We do have some inventory. We got ahead of everybody else, and it really made a difference to deploy these. Easy deployment. It's just plug and play. It's simple to set up to do what I just did.
Yeah.
There's quite a bit more it can do. As an administrator, can go in and use a keyboard and mouse to, do some check boxes, to do other things.
Okay, gotcha. So there's a little bit of customization for those that might need a little bit more of an insight on what's going on.
Correct.
All right. Now, so talk a little bit about kind of what you guys do overall as an organization in helping businesses. We kind of talked a little bit about, but I cut you off to talk about this innovative product. So.
Well, you use a correct. That's a segue. We come up with innovative solutions constantly because of needs in the business, but it all started out with moving documents into a more compressed space, going back to micrographic days, and which is still around to some degree. But being able to share those documents has always been a problem, and automating that process, processes in business with real documents, not just I'm finished with it, I'm putting it in the filing cabinet. Well, there's a lot of paper out there still, but still getting electronic documents married with scanned documents and signatures on documents, and then saving them and then sharing them in a work process so that people can make decisions and do things that need to be done to bring that to completion.
That's amazing. So I know, because a lot of businesses still run on this paper system, right? Where whether you're signing something, but it doesn't make as much sense now if we're working from home.
That's correct. Most of the time, those kind of paper documents are because those documents were created by other people, and you have to deal with them when they come in.
Yeah. And then so right now, how do you work with businesses in helping them kind of have a strategy towards being more digital when it comes to that engagement of files and necessary documents?
Our premier product is DocuWare for document management.
Okay.
That product does an enormous amount of things. It goes from simple to very complex.
Okay.
We have companies that just want to scan and retrieve documents and use them as they need them. We have one customer that's got over 700 users. We have others that have just got 4 users.
Okay. And so a lot of times then for the kind of the customization, you can go to small all the way to very, very large.
Correct.
In regards to size of organizations.
That's correct. It's based on what you use is what you pay for.
Do you see any specific industries that maybe have kind of delayed this quite a bit and then all of a sudden found themselves here in 2020 feeling completely behind?
Good question. I'd say from my opinion, from what I've seen over the years, the large Fortune 500 companies are way down the road with document management, workflow, electronic forms,
Okay.
all of which can be provided by DocuWare and some of the other software products they have. You essentially have to get the documents to an electronic form first,
Okay.
and then move on from there. The kind of companies that have delayed are the small businesses,
Yeah.
and medium-sized businesses to some degree, depending on the departments. And what happens is that controllers or somebody gets a hold of it and says, no, I don't want to spend the money. Susie, would you just go buy another filing cabinet? And
Yeah.
that's creating a problem, kicking the can down the road, so to say. So after you do that, who's going to fix it later? And then trying to find the documents.
Right.
So tax offices, accountants, lawyers, manufacturing, it doesn't matter what size, auto dealers, a lot of them still are not on board. They think they are. Everybody's got software that manages their business,
Yes.
but they don't manage the documents effectively most of the time.
Yeah.
And this can be married to whatever system they have. There's several connectors that can do that, and without touching the main software's database.
Amazing. So, which is really interesting because I think you kind of hit it right on the head. There's a lot of businesses that they don't want to invest in the cost of it today. They think that if they wait. If they wait for whatever reason, then it'll get easier down the road. Where it doesn't. The more that you and I do business in a paper world, we're less likely to be relevant or as effective in the future, right? So I think about some of the people that might have a bunch of files, and if you're not allowed to go to work because it's not deemed as essential, or your office says we're shutting the office down, you can't go inside, now what do you do with those files? How are you going to contact your clients if all your files are at the office?
Our system's been doing this for years before COVID came along. COVID was just, it proves everybody's gonna work differently now.
Yeah.
And they can. And let's make that transition. Let's get there. One of the killers is keystroking. The software we have is so easy to use. Another one is I don't have an IT department, a person on site who's married to the company more or less.
Yeah.
Doing all the work and making sure this, the hardware's upgraded, the SQL server's upgraded, all that technology. Well, DocuWare's got a cloud system where it's easy. We have business users, big ones even, who went to the cloud and they told me, said, Will, what do you notice? And I saw right away they didn't have a sweatshop with paper everywhere and there were no filing cabinets and they worked electronically.
Yeah.
All the bills that came in went to a lockbox, scanned, and partially indexed. Our software continued the indexing process both automatically and sometimes there's some keystroking or some electronic stamps that happen to move it along in the food chain.
Gotcha. Okay. So there's a way to be able to really organize all that paper in a very systematic way.
Right, and the best part is you can collaborate from home. From the golf course, that's what we used to say, but now it's home. Okay?
Yeah.
And it just anywhere your office is. Offices are not a fixed building anymore where you drive through heavy traffic to get to. You can take your time getting in if that's the case, but you can do your core work and make decisions and move documents along very easily.
I love it. Well, wonderful. Well, Will, if people want to get in touch with you, they see that they need some innovative solutions for their business, whether it comes from digital documentation or this innovative product that they need to be able to make sure that, hey, you know what, this is kind of not the role that our employee is meant to be doing, checking people in at the first 2 hours of her day or his day. We want to be able to make sure that they're doing the work that they want to be doing. How can they get in touch with you?
Well, the best way is info at Precision Products Inc. It's my full company name. You have to put the Inc. on there.
Okay. PrecisionProductsInc.com?
.com.
Okay. So info at PrecisionProductsInc.com.
Correct.
All right. Well, we'll appreciate you coming in, sharing with us what you got going on, and helping businesses really stay relevant and really